So we've been living here in the city for about a year now, and it is high time I get back to the farm. So come with me, and on today's video, I'm going to be traveling back up north to take care of some much needed spring tasks. And we're home. I think Rosa just realized we're home, huh? You excited? You just realized we're home. Boy, you popped up, didn't you? You guys may remember the old homestead that was here. Unfortunately, we didn't get it completely cleaned up before we left, although we made huge progress. But, oh, I'm so excited. We'll have to walk around and see how things look. See what's changed. So last time I came home back in October, one of our cats, Copper, you may remember her from some previous videos, somehow sensed that I was here and just came screaming out of the woods. So I'm really curious to see if she does that today. All right, just get out. There you are. Where'd you come from? Hi there. Hello. She's the only animal still remaining on the farm, other than the ones our caretaker brought, a couple cats and her dog. But this is our last remaining kitty cat. And she sticks around. She's getting older, so I think she lives by the barn and just kind of takes care of the mice that come in. But you look good, girl. Well, like I said, I haven't actually been back here since October when I came back for a really quick trip. Sean and the kids came back in December, right after Christmas, and spent a week or so. And I know he did a few just little projects to help set things up for our caretaker, but I'm really curious just to kind of walk around now that the spring growth is coming back and just look at the condition of things. One of the things I plan to do on my trip here is pruning, kind of getting the spring pruning done. My goodness, that rose bush exploded. But I've got a lot of plants here I'm trying to train and get pruned. Just kind of work on a garden for when we move back here. I want to keep this stuff going so it stays nice and healthy as much as possible. The garden was obviously abandoned for the year. Our caretaker does plan to grow a few things, so it looks like she's got a big patch covered up there to help get rid of some weeds without chemicals. So I like that. She follows our request there to keep this place free of any type of herbicide, pesticide, anything that would contaminate our soil. So we really appreciate that. And that's going to be the brunt of my work right there. That is the blackberries and the grapevines kind of up the hill there. And then behind that, we've got our fruit trees. They're still babies, but I see a few blossoms over there. And the pond, that is the fullest I have ever seen it. We had to do some work last year. They actually found a leak, which was preventing it from filling up all the way. It was leaking out underneath the levee. So they came out and repaired that leak, and it looks like it worked because the pond is finally creeping up. If you guys go back over the last couple years, you'll find some videos where we were working on clearing a new pasture, and this is that spot. It did have some undergrowth, obviously, last year. Once we removed the animals from it, it was rather hard to maintain, but it got mowed a couple of times when Sean would come back to visit. So they were able to control those weeds. Still have some debris to clean up out of it, some stumps that still need to go, but there's the shelter he built. You can see a link to the video here. And we actually put in these fence posts as one of the last projects, but we didn't quite get that fully fenced. So that's a project we'll be working on in the future. This will be the first area we fence off to create a full pasture once we get ready to come back. But it actually looks really good. I think we'll potentially see some good grass growth this year if we can get these weeds knocked down, maybe even this week. I'll see what I can do if the mower's up and working. So that'll be fun. And all that work is looking like it's paying off slowly but surely. And there's my barn and my stalls without the fencing. We tore down all the metal panels and we're actually storing them in the barn just to prevent them from rusting and such while we're gone. But looks pretty bare back here. My once very well made arena foundation there is pretty much grown over in grass, so we'll have to start that all over. But this turned out to be pretty fertile ground with all the manure and such that was spread on it. This is going to be a second area of pasture that we already started working on clearing it, but didn't get nearly as far in that area before we left. So we'll get to it. But there's the half of the stall run we got finished, almost finished, and then there's the half that was just going in when we had to drop everything and move. So I look forward to getting that completed in the future. But it is neat to see this place. We put a lot of work into it for about 1.5 years, and we're still a lot of work to go, but it's neat to see the change compared to the very first spring we were here. It was nothing but timber and a whole lot of trash and debris. So progress is still there. So I'm back here at the farm. It's the first evening, and I love that sense you get when you've just come home. We love this house, we love this farm, and I love being back here. So feels great, but it is still pretty chilly in the evenings here in Illinois. And I am reminded that having an HVAC system, with a heater down there in the city house is quite the convenience because we don't have that here. So I'm a bit chilled here in the house. Now, that wouldn't be the case if the fireplace was running and the hydronic floor system was running. But the caretaker who lives here is gone a lot for work or, doing just what they do. So they haven't been running many fires, and therefore the house has been allowed to get a little on the chilly side. No big deal. I just came and curled up in my, as you can see, still unfinished bedroom. It's still got the fox block. We never did get around to finishing this room. But I just kind of curled up under some covers. I'll stay warm until bedtime. No biggie. Just nice and relaxed and enjoying the peace and quiet here in the country. Since we didn't know we would be leaving this property, I had started putting in a few gardens, basically as soon as the house was built, and I got a couple of orchards, trees planted, and some berry rows, and I really don't want them to just be overgrown with weeds in our absence. So one of my first tasks this week is to just kind of go through and weed everything, really thickly mulch it, and that will buy us some time until Sean gets back here for the summer and he can work on it again. It'll also help out our caretaker who does a bit of weeding but also has a job, so this will make their life a lot easier. Got the blackberries all finished and they're just waiting for mulch. I actually have a load of mulch coming in this afternoon. So we're gonna buy in bulk because I'm gonna need so much here. We wanna put down several inches to really try to protect it from the weeds this year and give our caretaker a head start. But now I am going to turn to the grapevines, which are really starting to take off. They fruited last year for the first time, and I think this year with a good trim, they will really take off and actually produce enough to do something with. Once again, I'm trying to prune one of my rose bushes here, and I find pruning is very difficult because copper's always demanding attention. Right, girl? Always getting in the way. Been a good day here on the farm. We have gotten all the orchard, the grapes, the blackberries, and even some more of the roses weeded, cleaned up, pruned, mulched. So it's been quite a day. We're going to be feeling it later. I look forward to being able to get some plantings under these trees instead of just leaving it bare, but we didn't get to put in the using the stacking method for permaculture and complementary plants underneath these orchard trees before we moved down south. So one of these days we'll get to it, but in the meantime, we're just trying to suppress the weeds right under the trees to keep everything easy to maintain and keep the deer away, hence the reason there's fencing. Another project I've got to work on, you can see behind me here, in the big ice and wind storm that happened a couple months ago, these panels just scattered. It snapped the cargo straps. I mean, it just made a mess. There's debris, there's a bunch of logs and sticks. In fact, you can see kind of behind me here where our caretaker has already started piling stuff up. She's been working on that for a couple months, just slowly cleaning up all the debris from just all the fallen limbs. It was a mess. She said most people out here were without power for about 5 to 7 days when we had the big storm. And of course, here in our off-grid home, she was perfectly fine. So it really paid off, and it's really rewarding to have that happen. But for now, I'm going to work on helping her get all this reset, restrapped down, and move on to the next project. Right now, we're still putting cargo straps on these 10 pieces on our wood, and Copper's in the way, being very helpful. Not really, Copper. You're really not being helpful. Well, it's day 4 here on the farm, and today I am headed to Amish Country up north. We've had some trouble finding meat in the Pensacola area, so I'm sure it's there. We just haven't found it. But we arranged with one of our Amish friends to have a beef and a pork butchered and prepped, and it's been stored in a meat locker for us to pick up while I'm here. So I'm going to head up north. It's about 3 hours away, so it's going to be a pretty good haul. And I'll pick that up, and then I will head back home for the night and probably head back south tomorrow. Well, the time has come. This is my last evening here at the house, and I thought I would come outside and just kind of enjoy one last sunset here on the farm. There are a few things that beat a quiet evening and a nice sunset over the pond when you feel at home. Right, Rosa? We're leaving lots of projects still undone, but slowly but surely we'll make progress a little with each visit. And in the meantime, we're just going to enjoy it. Well, thanks for joining us today. Hope you enjoyed that little sneak peek back up to the farm. Stay tuned, and hopefully this summer we're going to get back to doing a few videos. We've got a lot in the plans, so we'll see how that comes to fruition. But in the meantime, you guys take care.